Bjorn Martinov, the author of that very, very famous book,
Develop Exponential
Power.
It's a powerful book.
If you think that I have the power, then that's the reason. One of the biggest reasons that I came back like an eagle. Because I nearly, Bjorn, became a hen.
Mouse?
That eagle became domesticated. She forgot to fly at one point until I met you and Dina Nunes. And her book and your book made me become an eagle that can soar high again.
Yes, actually you didn't realize it probably, but you were the eagle already, but pretending to be a duckling or something.
Domesticated.
Yeah, imagine an eagle pretending to be a duckling. And that's really in all of us that way, you know. The eagle is in all of us. You know, that power is available.
Okay, so that's the voice. Say hi, Bjorn.
Hello there, to all the eagles out there, even those pretending to be ducklings. Welcome to our show. Maybe today we can share a little bit about how to be more the eagle rather than the duckling.
You know what they said? You don't have to be an eagle, you can just look like one.
No, but we really truly are. All of us have that potential, you know, everyone. And we can bring that out of us. It really is possible. No matter if you believe it or not believe it, it is true. And if you don't want to believe it, I will believe it for you.
Yes, stay tuned with us always and listen to our uplifting talks with celebrities in their own fields in this station, because a lot of eagles always come to our show and they always land in our show.
That's right, that's right. We're like the eagle landing strip.
Yes. All right, so the two eagles have landed here again on this show, RPM Revolutions per Minute. Actually, we have prepared a very, very good talk. Well, wherever you are, Rajuh.
Hello, Rajuh. If you're out there.
I hope you are speeding up and accelerating your wings.
Yeah, but don't accelerate too much. We want you to be safe. And hopefully you're safe and you didn't get into an accident.
Yeah. So accelerate your wings and come land to our show, because we have prepared the topic that he loves so much. It's called Change Stories. Change your stories.
Change your stories.
Change
your life.
Your life.
Yes, yes.
I thought that change...
Don't change it. Don't chain them up. Change them.
With my Kangen water, change your water, change your life.
Yeah, for sure, right?
All right,
I still do need to get one of those Kangen machines.
Yes. No, you're going to have again that machine, right?
Oh, thank you, thank you.
And
thanks for loading it to us. That's fantastic.
No, yeah, I was supposed to be ready, but I was late that night.
Oh,
so it's been there. So again, yes, stay tuned, people, and I'd like to say hi to Ma'am Lita Ramos and Mang Hernan, and haven't heard from Mrs. Mercado for a long time, and June, and all those avid listeners and loyalists to the DZRJ 810 AM.
Actually, she called in when you were on Christmas vacation.
That's good.
Yes,
At least and I'm sure she's listening.
Our very loyal, regular caller. By the way, if you're listening, we also like to invite you to call us. You know, we'd love to hear from our listeners. Maybe Marlyn, you can give out the number.
Yes,
so that
and
people know
join our discussions, and if you have questions or you want to add on to our discussion, please call 895-4460 or 897-8374, or you can text in to our cell phone numbers. The smart number of DZRJ is 0919-991-8047, and for our globe, 0917-581-6500. And again, if you don't have a radio and you're about to leave your car, go continue on www.ustream.
You can see us live.
Yes. /channel/DZRJ 810 AM. Okay,
right up there in the corner, we have a very small camera that records every single move of us. Even when we're on commercial break, I think, right?
No? You know what they do?
What?
They put their own commercials.
Oh, really?
That's
Ustream,
so
huh? How does that happen?
Of course, they want to make money, right?
Yeah.
And especially if it's an interesting topic and they think they have so many clicks on their links.
Yes.
The more they put commercials, and sometimes they overdo it, and then overboard the time wherein I'm already talking and they were still having
they're still showing their commercials. Yeah. Well, that's just too bad. By the way, if you'd like to advertise on our show, we get very good listening and audience, a very good audience, very large audience. We'd welcome that. Where do they contact us for advertising time?
Yeah, you can call us. Call my number because we are co-production.
What should we repeat one more time?
Our number is 0977-174-8384. That's my number.
Oh, that's
if you want
number.
To do a commercial for our show with Beyond, and you want to advertise, or you want anything to be known,
right.
just come to RPM Revolutions per minute or contact any of our people at 895-4460.
And we'll be happy to make it happen for you and your products and services.
897-8374. And they have a choice whether they want to sponsor or they want to advertise it on our show or the other shows.
The station,
all their choices.
Or all the shows. Right?
Yes, and also they're free also on FM.
Wow. That's right. 100.3, right? That's DZRJ as well.
Okay,
awesome.
So since our guest Bjorn is not here, so let's go start.
Yeah, let's.
So change stories, change your stories, change your life. I like that. I like this book. I love Kabbalah. It's really full of wisdom.
By the way, Kabbalah is a non-religious spirituality that doesn't confront any other religion, right? It's something that's worthwhile studying no matter what your religion is, right? They don't want to take away your religion, they just want to add to it.
Yeah, and I like what Yehuda was one of the sons, right?
He's one of the sons of the founder
of the
Kabbalah
Karen,
Center in Los Angeles.
Yeah,
right?
Karen Berg. You know what it says? Kabbalah is a way of creating a better life and a better world. I like her definition, right? They said it's not a scholarly study, but as a way of creating a better life and a better world.
That's beautiful.
I love that. And you know what I've learned to that? So since I'm going to read what this book has to say while waiting for our expert on changing your stories, change your life.
If he's still coming,
yes.
Hopefully he's okay.
He said, sharing and awareness and balance of the ego. So if you can differentiate that, meaning sharing is the purpose of life and the only way to truly receive fulfillment. I think it's true. Why do you work for? For your family, for your loved ones, for your friends.
To make a difference for them, right? To make life possible for them, especially the children. They inspire me so much. My tiny tribe at home.
Yes, I know that feeling. Yeah. I have another 2 small tribe coming, my 2 great grandsons.
You got grandchildren already. How amazing is that?
Yeah, so it's also the awareness and balance of the ego. The ego is the voice inside that directs people to be selfish, to be narrow-minded, to be limited, addicted, hurtful, irresponsible, negative, angry, and hateful. And that's being egoistic. So if you do these adjectives that I just read, that means your ego is a little bit bloated. So we must be aware to balance that ego. Sometimes it's nice to have a little ego, but don't do it too much.
Too satisfying.
Until you become a Kabbalist, then you lessen your ego.
Yes.
And a good person is, if I've been thinking, because Yehuda Berg
I'm sure you're thinking all the time.
All the time. I'm thinking today something different. Because it says, Yehuda Berg says, you should find a spiritual friend.
Yeah, that's so important. Even they say that if you can't sleep at night, read something spiritual.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what it is almost, something that inspires, and plants good seeds in your mind, something that's positive. I've done that so many times, it allows me to go back to sleep.
And you know what I've thought? Your wife.
Vicky, yeah.
Can I be honest with her? I do. Can I speak with her at the level of the same, at par of my EQ, IQ, and SQ? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
You know what? It's so funny. Of course, my mother, but she's my mother. She's also my best friend. My daughters, they do. Zoe and Chrissy, but they're not always present. But the person at my age that really knows what I'm talking about, because she's a Kabbalist, and she walks the talks. I mean, I don't know 100%, but I know she does to me. So, I was thinking like that when I was reading this book. He said, it's nice to have a spiritual friend.
Yeah.
Because this friend is the one that...
Not just a friend, also a mentor, but I think a friend helps because we can really level. Sometimes the spiritual gurus, they are so far ahead of us, we're like almost afraid to approach them, right?
That's true.
Yeah, it's like, because they're so far ahead of us already. Like sometimes people, they rather call my wife than me. I guess she feels safer, or they can relate to her better because she's also from the Philippines, Yeah, but she's actually, she's very humble, but she's actually quite, once you discover, she's quite the guru herself,
She's a strong woman.
Oh yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah.
And she's coached very high-level people. One person working for Unilever in South America, who was responsible for all of South America, like an entire half continent, South America really is a continent in itself. Right?
And her voice is very soothing. This voice, actually, the first thing they would say, oh, Miss Victoria talks very well. It's got such a nice voice.
Yes, she really does.
Anyway, so back to
and I think she'll be bigger than me, not physically, but I think she'll be doing very well in her life. I really look forward to that.
She is already on the way there, if not already there.
Yes.
Soaring higher like an eagle.
There's a difference between being ready for it and actually having established that in the world. You may be already cutting edge, you may be already a guru, but maybe if the world doesn't know yet, we don't have the impact yet that you would like to have. So we need to not just make ourselves ready, but also let the world know that we're ready. That we can make a difference. That what is available to them.
Yeah.
And Vicky has that already.
And I like the way she answers things, the way when you ask things, and how level-headed and how balanced. And I know why. Because really, I'm really proud that she has introduced me to Kabbalah. Because Kabbalah have balanced me. Talking about the ego, there are two things in life.
Yes.
Either you share, you're a good sharer, you give, then you are fulfilled.
Yes.
Because of course, if you don't have anything, how could you be fulfilled? And that which you do not have, you cannot give. So those people who give a lot are the real fulfilled people.
That's right. If your spirituality doesn't make you feel better, if it doesn't make you feel more alive, it's probably not good spirituality. If it does that for you, it's good. But if it make your spiritual gurus make you angry, or hurt, or feeling bad, such that you go out into the world and do harmful things, you may want to find yourself a new guru or
a mentor,
new mentor,
spiritual mentor,
or maybe even a new type of spirituality. Because if you go out there to be harmful because your spirituality calls for it, that is not inspiring. That is bringing harm to the world.
But talking about that, Yehuda Berg, this book, he wrote, if you don't like your life, change it.
Yes, exactly.
You know what he said? Most of people in general, when they are at their lowest ebb, or when they are in trouble, or they are in pains, whether it's emotional pain, intellectual pain, or spiritual pain, they join spiritual group and they go for spiritual books.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. And like I said, ideally, if the kind of spirituality that you're encountering makes you feel more alive, right? Makes you feel more happier, makes you feel like you're making a good, positive difference in the world, right?
Yeah.
Then it's the right one. But if you feel like you need to go out and do harm to the world and be angry or even become a suicide bomber, that's not a good spirituality.
But according to Yehuda Berg, he said, if you only do this because you want to go spiritual each time you go down, then it's short-lived spirituality. He said he appreciates people who tend to go look for spirituality for inspiration and for the sake of curiosity even can lead them to the true light, to truth. And these are the type of people who will be magneted attracted to that spirituality, and they stay longer, because they were searching, right, for their personal
That's a very good point, because we have a certain vibration in us, right? And if we're attracted to, if our vibration is negative, then we may be also attracted to a negative vibration in what we're seeking, in the spirituality we're seeking. But you cannot get out of that negativity if you surround yourself with more negativity. It's not going to happen. You have to surround yourself with a higher vibration.
That's true.
You know?
And really, those are the criteria that when you don't like your life anymore,
yes,
and then you should change it by upgrading yourself, or as what other people have said and what Yehuda Berg, you are the captain of your book, of your ship. You are the writer of your book.
It's your life.
Yeah, and you are the star of your book.
That's right. And your stories as well. Yes. The star of your stories.
So he said, if you have been with negative people and it has put you down, then change.
Yeah, exactly.
Change the story. Take out the characters in your life.
I realized at some point that I was trying to uplift myself and increase my vibration, become more of a positive person. And I realized that's what it's going to take for me, A, to attract the partner in my life that I wanted, and B, also to become the person that I wanted to be. Yeah, and I kept experiencing the people in my environment trying to drag, well, maybe not intentionally trying to drag me down, but they were dragging me down because some weren't willing to grow, some weren't open to grow. Some were already declining or settled into old age, right? Where they said, I guess it's over for me, and I can't make a difference in the world anymore. But all these things are not true for me, you know. I think we all can grow. We can all grow until the day we die, you know.
Yeah, if we are open to many things.
If we're just open, you have to be open. And you have to explore things outside of your box. If you're stuck in your box, good luck growing. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, you don't progress if you are imprisoned into that box.
Even if you say, I'm of this kind of religion, there's still a lot of flexibility even within one religion, where there's different teachers even within one church, right? For example, right? Some may be more inspiring, some may be less, but find one that works for you.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to give up your religion. I'm not an advocate of that. If you're a Catholic, be a good Catholic. If you're a Muslim, be a good Muslim, right? If you're
be the best of what you want to be.
Exactly. Be the best Muslim, be the best Buddhist, be the best Christian you can be, right? Just being a Christian doesn't make you a good person, but you still have to live and be an example.
Walk the talk.
Walk the talk. Exactly.
Hey, I like what Yehuda Berg here, if I may read to you. If you don't like your life, change it.
Change it, yeah.
Yeah, he said, do you find yourself being drawn into the same chaotic scenarios? That's his question. Then cut it.
Trap, right? You have to cut it, right?
Because you are the writer and you are the star of your own show. So
and the director, and the producer.
That's right, if you don't like it,
and the editor as well.
So he said, life isn't something that just happens.
Yeah.
It is a ream of blank paper on which you write the script.
That's right.
So most of us play a bit part, a small, passive role in which we feel like a wannabe rather than a star. So don't be the wannabe. Say, I am the star. So I'm the leading role, and I will tell how I'm going to act on it.
That's right. Yeah, you are the lead role in your own life, right? That's you.
And then he said, isn't it time to get over your stage fright? So he said in his book, which I was reading last night, Yehuda Berg explains how to rewrite your script with a starring role.
Nice.
So through exercises...
Become the star you want to be.
Correct.
Yeah.
I want to be megastar.
I think you already are. It's just waiting to come out.
Yeah. You know? Through exercises that reveal underlying messages you tell yourself. So you can recognize and overcome destructive thoughts and reactive behavior. So when you break recurring patterns and make different choices, nature responds in turn,
Yeah, exactly.
So when you change it, you attract the very people who should be in that same level that you want.
That's right. If we increase our vibration, we attract people with similar vibration. That's one of the reasons why it's so important to raise our vibration. inspiration, because then we can bring those type of people into our lives, right?
Yeah. But sometimes this environment helps.
Oh, huge! I would say we become the average of the people that we surround ourselves with.
Really? We become an average
We
only?
become the average of the people we
Really?
surround ourselves with.
So we surround us with all the super high vibrating,
That's right,
powerful
that's right,
people.
that's right.
So then you can maybe even get the half of it. And on the way later,
Exactly.
you'll be even like them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Tell me
Exactly.
who
So
your friends are. I'll tell you who you are.
Aim to surround yourself with people who are vibrating at a higher level than you. Always do that.
And that's how you transform your current
That's how you transform
reality.
yourself into a reality, and most importantly, your future.
Correct. So stop playing the old rerun. Stop playing the old movie that made you cry.
That's right.
Right?
Too many of us are stuck in the reruns, you know.
So I said, if you don't like it, then change it.
Change it.
So he said, this book, I wish I could share it with you, but it's available. You can give me a call. Because it's really nice. I mean, it's easy reading too, Bjorn. So he said, if you are not to blame the problems in your life, but you are responsible for the movie that is your life. Right? So you can add scenes or cut them.
Yes,
Or
cut
you
them
can-
out, just like your editor, right?
And you can even rewrite it completely.
Yes, and you can make a bad scene become a good scene.
Yes,
Yeah.
and if you're the leading man
Or leading woman.
or the people in your story starting to be late and always not doing their part,
Yeah.
take them out, give them a smaller role, so until they don't come appear anymore in your book or in your show.
That's right.
So really, I like how he has compared how you change your life. So. I was thinking, so what is this?
Oh, Raju just texted his car wouldn't start.
Oh,
So
my
not
car
right.
also wouldn't start this morning,
Really?
but I
Oh my
prayed.
gosh.
I made that mantra. I have a nice Buddhist mantra, and it did. It worked. My car also didn't want to start this morning. Anyway, okay, that's good excuse, Raju, but you can still come over. We still have
Here he is.
1
He
hour.
has finally arrived, the man himself.
Oh yeah, the
Woo-hoo!
man,
Our superstar is
celebrity
here.
guest finally arrived. Okay.
Did you bring your friends? No.
Okay, for us who are watching us on the stream, now you can see our guest finally arrived, Mr. Raju Mandhyan.
Yes.
Okay, and he brought with him a book, The Heart of Story.
Yes.
Wow, which can connect, engage, and influence your world creatively.
How to be the writer, director, star, editor, producer, and
Executive CEO coach.
of your own life.
Janitor.
And the janitor of your own story, yeah?
Yes!
By the way, Raju and I were together at a leadership event yesterday, and it was just fantastic, It was so great to have him around, amongst all these great minds.
Yeah. So you see, Raju, you already made the preliminary introduction of our topic, which is change your stories, change your life.
Wow.
So we were just, Bjorn and I were just saying, you are the star of your show, and you are the writer of your book, or the writer
Actually,
of
he
your
wrote
life.
many books. What
Of
books did
your
you,
life.
did you write,
Yeah.
Raju? By the way, welcome. I'm glad you're okay. Glad
Right.
you made it.
I'm just trying to catch myself
You're running, huh?
because parking and running up was a big hassle. So, okay, I'm getting my breath back. So,
Okay.
I wrote, to answer your question, I've written 5 books.
Wow, that's amazing.
The titles are The Heart of Public Speaking, The Heart of Humor, The Heart of Story, and The Heart of Close. So 4
Nice.
from the Heart series, and one of them called Pit Bulls and Entrepreneurs.
Oh, I like that.
5
people.
I have that. I'll give it to you later. It's in the car.
So yeah, change stories, change your life. Change your stories, change your life.
Oh, this book kind of matches it.
Yes, and I was just before, if you would have been listening, he was saying that life doesn't happen.
Were you able to listen while you were driving?
Oh no! I was busy driving crazily.
So
Please don't do that again. Drive normal.
Yeah,
we want you to be safe.
I do that often.
By the way, to our listeners out there, please also drive safely.
Always.
Yes.
yes.
I know sometimes in traffic the bully comes out of us, but it's not healthy. The outcome may not always be good.
Maybe not the bully in my case, but the Spider-Man.
The Spider-Man.
Yeah, the maniac.
So this change your stories, change your lives. I think you'll be a guest also, or you guessed it already. Was it January 12th?
No. For the last 2 years, I have been doing a lot of talks and workshops on storytelling.
That's right.
Not last 2 years. I think maybe the last 6 years. It started with a group called the Association of Appreciative Inquiry, and I think one of the first events was in 2010. And then from 2014, I don't know how this happened, but some of my friends, Dean Pax and his friend Mr. Sanchez, Eugenio, they asked me to do storytelling, and I haven't stopped since then. And September of last year in India, there was a group that said, don't talk to us about storytelling, give us something much more profound, something much more transformational. So I said, okay, change that. Make the title, Change Your Stories, Change Your Lives.
Nice.
And they loved it, and we actually had one event in September which was a rip-roaring success.
Nice.
And then we had another one. We are going to have another one end of February, February 27th. We are going to call it Change Your Stories, Change Your Lives 2. 2 as in like number 2.
Part 2.
Part 2. Not part 2. 2 as in like the second run.
Yeah, and
Because part 2 means it's connected to the first one. It's similar but different.
And I like what it says here with your change stories, change your life. Sometimes you tell the stories, and sometimes your stories tell you.
Exactly.
Change.
Exactly. Sometimes you are the author, and sometimes you are the loony bin inside your own story.
That's what happens when we don't write our own story.
When the stories take control of us.
Yeah, exactly.
When our
we
stories,
become a victim to the story.
yeah, when they take control of us and they are disempowering stories. They're fine if they are empowering stories that you create and they run you, then they're fine. But the moment they drag you down, it's time to change those stories. Great!
Yeah, that's true. That's how you can tell, right? If you need to change your story. If it lowers your energy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Maybe I think for the audience that is watching and listening this, it'll be great to first start off with like, what exactly is a story? What forms of stories there are? How to structure a story, and then maybe
I like that. Yeah.
take them deeper, So like go from grade 1 up. It's up to you. I mean, I'm just the guest.
No, you tell us, you're the expert.
Well, if I were in your place, I would say, Raju, what are stories exactly?
Okay.
So like you define them, then I would go further like describe them a bit more, and how do they impact us? I mean, how do they impact life in general? How do they impact individuals, etc., etc. And then you have to progress. I mean, you're the master interviewers, but I think people.
Oh, spoken like a true master yourself. You've been on a TV show for how many years?
Well, that's in the past now. It's all in the past now. Money changes everything.
Money changes everything.
This is all.
So you want to write the story of your life, which has may give a great impact to people who would listen and who would read about it. So then it should be first, you have to be aware of that life story you want to tell. It should be it should compose of you had a call, suddenly you got wake up something. Like sometimes how do you call this? Pitfalls in life, like, or maybe pain in life, heartache, for example.
Right.
So that could be the call to say, now my husband left, now my lover left. So that's the heartache, right? So that's the awakening call, is it?
But maybe we need to look at
Now
the
I'm
opportunity
alone.
instead.
Now I have no more lover, or I have no more.
Maybe I can bring
someone
in 10
next-
new ones.
No, I think
At least
no,
one.
I think
Then you
that,
get your breakthrough in life lessons, right? And that's what people want to learn.
I think the assumption is that it has to happen to you to write a story. No, I think every single day, every humdrum incident in your life, like a walk down the street, or even your attitude towards success, towards fulfillment, towards money, towards relationships, towards personal happiness. I think there are stories about that, and there are a multitude of stories that are engaging you, yourself. So it's not just one. I mean, those are like peak stories, fine. But there are
there's
multiple.
happy, sad, and
No, that's a
successful
peak. Okay,
stories.
I climbed up the Himalayas. Okay, that's a peak story, right? Or I got married. That's another peak story. But beyond that, there are many incidents that occur every single day that form us, or in unfortunate cases, deform us. So I think let's look at how we can form ourselves. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Shape.
Transform.
Design.
Yes.
Or
Recreate,
even
transform.
or
Right,
recreate.
Build something new, right?
Right. Every
That's right.
single day, tomorrow morning or next second, recreate yourself. So anyway, you throw the questions. I'm talking too much.
Yes. What
No,
inspired
that's your
you?
job here today. Talk too much.
What inspired you to come into that topic of change?
Yeah, so
exchange?
going back again to the Association of Appreciative Inquiry, the method or the process or the technology, or as I call it, the way of life, attitude towards buhay, no? It has to be appreciative, inquisitive. So that forms that, number one, you appreciate what is, or find something to appreciate, one part. Appreciate what is, or go dig deeper and find what there is to appreciate in anyone, anything. And then post that, you become a little more inquisitive. That means discover a bit more, explore a bit more, probe a bit more. And then when you probe, your audience or your client or your people, or in this case, client, they tell you stories. They tell you, oh, this is what happened to me, and that's how I feel about this, or these are my thoughts about such and such matter. So when they start telling you, they are actually telling you stories. Small stories, big stories, dramatic stories, emotional stories, stories of success, stories of failure, they're telling you. And in those stories, when they tell into that person, then you also have to look at the person who is beholding that person. So here, I'll pause. I'll take this over. Yesterday, him and I, we were at a conference, and at the end of a conference, a young woman stood up and she said, I am from such and such school, and there is a senior person in my school who does bad things and is extremely bad. How do I help him see the good? Or how do I make him do good things? How do I empower him to become good? And lots of gurus and thought leaders responded to her. I was sitting there and I was thinking, lady, that's your story.
What is his story?
Yeah, that's your story. Have you been into his shoes? Have you lived in his shoes? Yeah. Is he totally bad? Yeah. Is he probably he's a great father? Yeah.
Maybe
probably,
just expressing.
maybe he's a
frustration,
great pastor, or maybe that's your perspective, no? So first you need to get into his shoes.
That's right.
Yeah. If you keep telling that story to yourself, that the gentleman is bad, that gentleman is bad, that gentleman is bad, you're going to see nothing else but that. You are going to hear nothing else but that. Your community, your network is going to see nothing else but that. Yeah. You go and talk to your wife and say, that man is bad, and she says, I think I agree with you. Nobody says no, right? You get down on a stranger and say, by the way, that radio host, oh man, she was nasty. And then what happens? They say, yeah, I saw her. She kicked the door, or she opened the door she banged the door so hard.
I think whatever we're focused on, we're going to find evidence.
You multiply it. So going back to that lady, so I was thinking, maybe I should have a chat with her. I didn't get a chance to chat with her. But all through the night I'm thinking, what a sorry state that mindset is in. No? It needs to flip. It needs to switch around to look at this other human being from a very healthy, appreciative, forgiving perspective.
You know what I heard, what I've read, some of these good writers, they said, when you complain against a person, or when something happens to you that is likely not so nice, it's your doing.
You're doing what?
It's
You
your own
created.
doing.
Oh, it's
You're
your own doing.
creative.
It's your own creation.
As Yehuda Berg was saying, in life, it just doesn't happen. You have created it. You might even have thrown the vibration.
And that's sometimes difficult to see, because when there comes a point in life when we realize that everything, almost entirely everything, is our own creation of what happens in our life, right? And that may be very hard to take and very hard to swallow, right? That saying that we have actually a part in creating that, you know. And maybe if I had done something different in the time that led up to certain events, this event may have turned out differently. You know?
So what do you think, Raju?
I think there are two angles to that. No? The statement for the thought process that you just discussed, the quote or the title for that subject matter is called "To Think is to Create." To think is to create. No,
Isn't there a book like that?
No, that's not a book. It's a group here called PSI, and one of their first principles or supposition is that to think is to create. No? To a large extent, that is right. To think is to create. The extent where it is not right is where you're walking and a planet falls on your head, but you didn't think that far that maybe a rock would fall on your head, or there would be a bomb explosion and you just blew away. No?
But you also got to remember that all of us think and create. So it's
that's universal.
Many creating.
Yeah,
right?
that's universal. Yeah, that's correct. That's to a larger sense. That's big picture. But small picture, you personally didn't make that happen. You were part of the whole humanity that made that happen. Maybe no. Let's not go there. That's too heavy for small.
That's what I was trying to say.
So say that you didn't make that happen. But here's the deal. Let's say a friend of mine whose daughter became a mother very early in her life. No? And I happened to have this conversation with this friend, and he said, Raju, I'm so upset, you know. I told my daughter...
I would feel blessed, you know, because I would
told
experience a grandchild,
no,
you know.
Would you be blessed? I mean, would you consider yourself blessed if she was premature and before marriage?
Yeah. Well, before marriage is okay, but not premature, right? That's a hard, potentially harmful to mother and child.
Anyway, he was not happy with it, right?
Sure.
So, and he goes, Raju,
a lot of people are not. You know?
all my life I've been telling her, don't do this, don't do this, you know, never get into that situation. And I said, were you in part implying her when you say, tell someone don't do this, and that's been part of your history, it was part of his personal trauma, no? And he said, were you not kind of influencing her to do that? And then he looked at me for a long time, took a long pause, and he said, you know what, had I not discussed the whole thing, had I let her live her life in a normal way, all this thing probably wouldn't have happened, and had it happened, I wouldn't have been so regretful about it. That means I didn't create this, my own regret, I created it, I kind of built it up, no?
So we kind of create our own monsters in life, no?
One. And you know it, sometimes when you're driving a car or driving a bicycle and you see a pole in the distance or a tree, and you say, I don't want to hit that, I don't want to hit that, I don't want to hit that. And bang, you're hanging on the tree a few minutes later, right? So it's, well, that's a very...
extreme.
It's a very simplistic example of that. But I think in the long run, most of us create a majority of our life. So you as a radio host, did you bring yourself here? Did you work your life towards it? Someday did you wish that maybe I'd become a radio host? Or did somebody put a gun on your head and say, become a radio host? Someday you wished for it. Yeah, someday you wish to be profound on the radio. Or to help people, or maybe share lives. Maybe 20 years ago you said, one day I shall share my thoughts
I
to a larger mass.
I didn't think of it, but it's actually true. When I was younger, I said, "Oh, maybe I want to be on the radio someday." You know?
I must tell you that I have imagined myself to be living on a mountain, long silver white hair, slaying and
the silver white hair is getting there.
It's getting there, and that's my
not
dream.
long yet.
Well, it won't probably grow long. I'll probably go bald, but it'll be a similar version of that. And speaking very softly, just speaking enough, and speaking things that matter. And every word I say, every action I take, helping someone else or another community become a better human being or a better community.
That'll be Sri Raju.
Yeah, sorry?
Sri Raju.
No. I don't want any of those mung things. Yeah, but I just want to be there. I want to be a cool dude. It could be in the mountains of Colorado. It could be in the mountains of Himalaya. It could be on the Chocolate Hills. Who knows? No? But it'll be like a little bit higher, about sea level.
Yeah, which of the nice, beautiful countries could be living in that mountain?
Yeah.
Switzerland, in
somewhere with fresh air and a temperate climate.
I hear Chocolate Hills is not bad.
Aspen, in Aspen.
if you don't feel profound, you eat some chocolate.
You probably won't be allowed to build anything.
No, you just hang it. You put a hammock and you hang.
Oh, okay.
Right?
That's a new definition of hanging, no?
Yeah, put a hammock and hang it.
So that change your stories, change your life, it can be really a great impact towards you and to others, right?
True.
When you involve a person into your story, and you have given the words or the things that he should speak,
great.
It could make an impact how he has delivered it, how he's going to do it. So, you know, it's really, the life is really a system, you know. So be careful with the people you really involve your stories with, right? That's why sometimes you have to choose who you want to enter into your life, right?
Who are the actors?
Yeah, correct, exactly. I mean, you can pick up the characters, but first watch the story. Watch the core of the story.
So what the story you want out of your life?
What is the truth in the story, first thing. And what do you propose to do with the story? And then, of course, you can put in a lot of characters. You can change characters. You can change their roles, etc.
I have another question for you, Raju.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes a story that we hold on to from the past, right, it can really have an impact on us in the present.
Right.
I think it's probably easier to change the story of the future than the story of the past. Is there any way in your book that you explain how to change the stories of the past?
Well, good question. How do you change the stories of the past? Or how do you change the stories, basically, right? Yeah. Because story by itself means that it happened.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Good questions. Can I just delve on it for a minute?
You want. Yeah.
To answer your question, that portion is not in my book.
Okay.
It is, in my book, what is there is how to change your organizational stories, not your individual
So it's more an organization development.
Yeah. It's also how to tell a story or how to be a great leader as a storyteller. That's all in the book, no?
Okay.
How do you change a story? Good. May I take some time on this?
Yeah.
Number one, you know you are telling stories. Yeah? You don't start with that acceptance, you cannot move ahead. So let's go back to that woman yesterday who complained that her senior was all bad, no? Now,
I don't think she said it. He was just doing bad things.
I had another encounter with her.
Right.
Yeah. So, quick one, like about 30 seconds, and man, that story ruled her, no? It was so now she has to first accept that kwento lang yan. Aking kwento yun. Yeah? She has to first accept that, because unless she sees it,
this is my story.
This is the story that I hold true.
Yeah.
That's why in court, they only listen to your story, then we'll listen to the other story.
They will listen to multiple aspects. Let's go to how to change it. First, she has to see it. That this story that I'm telling about someone else has begun to rule my life. Yeah? And maybe there is a seed of a wrong perception in it.
Correct. Perception.
My own perception. Yeah? And that perception is something you see from one angle.
Yes.
And that perception, I am holding it to be the ultimate truth.
So to change the story, I need to change the perception.
Wait a minute. That's only the first step.
Okay.
First step is recognizing that you're telling a story.
Okay.
The second step is to recognize it as your own perception,
Okay.
which you think it's written on stone.
Yeah. Too
Yeah,
many
so-
times I think we're confused about perception being reality. Right?
Correct.
It's not the
So
same.
here we go. Now here, when you recognize it, you know, this is what is ruining my life.
Yeah.
This is what is spoiling my growth.
Mm.
This is what is messing up my organization, my team, my school. No? Now, great. Now once you recognize that, then you first listen to yourself talk about it. Because you're telling it to people. Not only are you telling it to people, you're telling it to yourself. When you lie down at night, yung mama, yung presidente ng company ko, ang sungit. Right? You're telling yourself. So you're being auto-telling. That means you're building and recreating yourself, and you're telling your friends. You're telling Bjorn, you're telling Raju, you're telling Marlyn, and they're listening to you and they're going, yes, 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 yes. Because nobody goes no to your truth, right? So now you recognize that that's the story I'm telling myself. Now, this empowers me, it destructs my systems, it hurts people around me in the very long run. Now when you see that story, you hear the story, you deconstruct the story. That means you open it up.
Mm.
This is the opening of my story. This is the body of my story. This is the challenge in my story. This is the character's dialogue in my story. This is the character's description in my story that I have been building. It's a fake story. It's a story from my perspective.
But
Once
often
you,
very real for people. Right?
it is totally real for you. It is
Yeah.
totally real for you. Now you deconstruct it, then you say, oh, that's where the character, I made an assumption on the character.
Correct.
I made an assumption on the character's intentions. Yeah? Or whatever the outcomes were, I did not measure them objectively. Yeah? Money exchange,
Yeah.
relationship exchange, I did not measure them objectively.
Okay.
Then you go back, now you have deconstructed it, you have found fault. In the corporate world, they would call that root cause analysis. I don't want to call it that. Yeah? That's for the business. But then you found it out, now you remove that part, and now you say, I want to make this whole story empowering. This human being, who I consider to be bad, there are positive aspects to him, to my relationship with him, and if there is none, what is the impact of that negative relationship doing to me? Oh, well, it's making me stronger. It's making me wiser. It's making me more humble. That it changes you, right? Changes you. If you have challenges in front of you, they impact you. Now you measure it from that perspective. Now you take the same story of your relationship with someone which you think is destructive, but it is having a positive impact on you. Start now to rewrite another story, saying, well, there was this gentleman, he was so challenging that because of him, I learned to skill up on this, I learned to build my competencies on this, my whole attitude towards life changed, and I thank this gentleman, yeah, who I thought was bad until yesterday, but hey, he's been good to me. Does that make sense?
Correct. See,
Yeah.
there you see the maturity of people when they tell things, about people, about places, right?
Yeah,
Now I can see your...
people, places, etc.
So, and it's very important to learn the way you're telling me,
Yeah.
how to speak about people, how to talk about things, how to talk about situations. Because there, as you said, now you better be careful because the person you're telling you might be lowering yourselves because your perception might be immature.
Yeah.
And your assumptions might be wrong because this person might happen to know that situation.
Yeah, but
that
and
other
here's the
person.
deal. You have to only pass judgment on your own perceptions. Other perceptions you have to explore.
That's why you say,
Yeah,
this is my
that's true,
opinion.
that's true,
It's
yeah.
of my opinion and my own personal little perception
Yeah, and if I
that this
may,
person made me feel this way.
yeah,
Alright?
exactly. And if I may,
Oh, that's
even
interesting.
in my own life, there's so many bad things happen, but what I came to find out later in life, that all of these bad things that happened in my life turned out to improve my life.
Yeah.
At some point, right?
Thus,
It does.
there is no precise quote unquote bad thing, quote unquote good thing, right?
Yeah, it's
Quote
just how
unquote.
we perceive it at the moment.
Right.
But
There's
it
very
takes
little
like
that's
so much wisdom and maturity.
It's a very simple. I can give you a nice little fable from India, and that will help you always look at life from different perspectives. You
Nice.
heard of the 6 blind men?
no.
I thought the mice.
Oh, well, is that the one about the elephant? Is that
6
the one
blind
about
men.
the
Okay.
So one time 6 blind men walk up and they say, hey, we are people from Hindustan and we gotta go and check out the elephant. Here is a unique kind of an animal. So these 6 blind men, they walk up to an elephant, and one of them grabs the trunk. He touches the elephant and he grabs the trunk, and he goes, "Hey, this elephant is like a huge snake. Yeah, it's like a snake. It's a giant snake. It moves, it wriggles, you know. So the elephant is a snake. Perspective 1. No, there's another one who holds the leg of the elephant and he says, "Are you kidding me? This elephant is like the trunk of a coconut tree. See how big it is and so stable it is. The elephant is in reality a coconut tree, and I believe it." And the third one is leaning against the side of the elephant, and he said, "Wow, parang sandal sa pader. Pader pala ito. No? The elephant is a wall, no? And I can lean on it. It's not the trunk of a tree. It's not a snake. It's
what are you talking about?"
The last one is hanging by the tail, and he says, "Are you kidding me, man? I'm gonna climb up on a mountain using this rope. The tail of the elephant. The elephant is not really a snake, a trunk, or a wall, but he's a rope. So I'm gonna climb up, no?" And then there's another one who's holding the ear from the other side, and he goes, you guys are nuts. You guys are nuts. You don't see an elephant. The elephant's like a big Chinese fan. I'm going to make pie to myself. I'm going to fan myself in this Indian summer." And then the 6th one is grabbing the trunk. He said, "Are you nuts? This elephant is like a weapon. It can kill us. Look at how pointed and hard it is."
You mean the tusk?
The tusk, tusk, not the trunk. That's correct. The tooth of the elephant.
Yeah.
So 6 perspectives to one animal.
At different ideas.
And think of it, in life, there are so many complex things, and you have more than 6 perspectives on everything. An accident that happens on the street, you're the one who bangs, somebody gets banged, 2 different stories.
Yes.
Yeah? Or people watching, or the cop watching, or somebody who gets splashed with the water on the street, and that's the 3rd story. Multiple stories.
Yeah, and one little blink of the one who has witnessed that, it changes the story.
Right. And you ask that story a few days later, you'll say, "Well, that man was 6'8" tall, like Bjorn, and it was in reality Raju, who's only 5'8"
No,
tall."
I'm only 5'20".
So yeah, that's changing perspectives, and then our job as the authors of our story, our own storytelling, is to be able to change perspectives, our own, quickly, and to adapt and to get closer as much as possible to the objective reality. You will never get to the objective reality. Yeah? But your job is to progress.
Is there really such a thing as objective reality?
No, it can't be.
Can't be.
Progress.
You just have to become which is uniform, which is benign and not harmful to you or to others. So that's why you keep on going, no? So you have to keep changing your story. Time out. Thank you.
Okay, that was a great one. All right, so Philippines, don't go away. We'll be coming back for more changing your stories, changing your life.
So sorry for being late.
Now be careful how you make your stories from now on. Don't go away, Philippines.
May I take a 2-minute break?
Per minute. We just had our guest.
Yay.
A little bit late, and he's coming here again. We had a short break. And yeah,
Did everything come out alright?
So,
Did everything come out alright?
behind the scene, we were talking about changing your stories to change, can change lives.
Right.
So we're talking about not only, because earlier we talked about changing our story, your own story, it can change your life.
Yes.
But this is also based on mga gossiper dyan. People who like to talk about people and things.
Yeah.
You have to be careful because it might be just your own perception and assumptions.
Yeah. I don't indulge in gossip. Every time somebody says, he said that, she said that, and that's tama and that's wrong, I stop. I just get up and I just don't participate in the conversation. Is that okay? We'll give up on the yeah.
Okay.
We'll go to yes.
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 And,
that means we'll agree.
Yes.
Yes.
Great.
So are you happy, Miss Cecile?
Yeah.
Yes.
She was saying also one time when she called in, and apparently Bjorn, she said, "This is Cecile." Yeah. And so you said, Miss Cecil, yeah. No, my name is Cecil. Yeah was just my expression.
Cecil, yeah. Because she was Chinese. So.
Yeah. Anyway, back to our story.
Right.
So, as you were saying, you don't listen to people who says bad things about
No,
people.
well, again,
Or
I'm not
gossip.
saying bad things when I'm saying it's hearsay, or it's half the information, or the information that is being shared is probably biased, probably one perspective. So I don't want to spend time on absorbing that perspective or participating in that discussion, because life, the quality of life and the time in life is a gift.
Yeah, it's a waste of time.
Why would I indulge in something that is not going to be fruitful to me, to my family, to my friends, or to any total stranger? I will not participate in something that will not help them become better than who they are.
So
It's so easy to get sucked into that. No?
Yeah,
I could just imagine how you could perceive so fast when a person opens the mouth and the first thing that they would tell a story or tell something about.
when they tell
you can
something,
already
yes, I
perceive
would stop.
whether
I
it's
would stop.
reality or it's just a BS. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, yeah,
Or
thank you.
just-
I wouldn't participate. Now, Bjorn and I have met many times, and Bjorn and I laugh and talk about things. And people like us also sometimes happen to slip into something that may not be a productive discussion. But humor, yes. Humor that is harmless, humor that is self-directed, I will participate in that. And Bjorn and I will stand. Bjorn will talk about his height, I will talk about my Indianness, and we will talk about the work we do, and we'll have great
fun of
fun.
ourselves. Right?
We'll have great fun.
Yeah.
But anytime Bjorn knows this, he talks about you. Without your presence, we will kind of dwindle out of the conversation because it's not there.
But then you
Unless
start
it was a positive
questioning
one.
his motive.
Unless it was a congratulatory one, something that you did well and we learned from it. But if something that was not even helping, I won't bring it up. Don't give life to it. Don't give life to it.
So one of the rules in life when you tell a story is when you talk about a person, for example, who's not there
Yeah.
and it's negative, we should not.
Well, remember that's a perspective, no? And if it's a negative, if something is gonna harm you, hear it out. If somebody say, by the way, Raju, I think you gotta watch out for this, no? I'll hear it out, but I will not take action on it, I will not pass judgment on it until I verify that aspect totally, no? And until I can reach the horse's mouth. You know, literally that means if there's an individual who might have said this, I will find ways, I will not jump to conclusions, no? But rarely does that, I mean it has never happened in my life, but that's what I would do. That's what I would do.
I think it's always best if you have issues to bring it up to the person who can make a difference.
I mean, not...
Which is the person themselves, right?
Yeah.
And then get it clarified, you know, and then...
Well, if it's hearsay,
if
don't
there
do
is
it.
something, exactly.
Unless you heard it, unless you hear it from him. If Bjorn says, Raju, you are so and so, and I would take Bjorn aside and say, Bjorn, can we talk about what you just said about my behavior or my attitude? And then Bjorn will say, Raju, because of this. And if I accept Bjorn's
I
perspective,
never said anything bad.
yeah, I'm just, for example, hypothetical. Yeah, then I would go say, Bjorn, okay, my apologies for what I did. Or Bjorn, I would like to correct this because that's not what I meant, or that's your perspective.
So you can only talk about people if it will involve you or in a way that it could warn you. Anything that could be of your good.
Not just for myself, for both.
That's
even,
right.
even the speaking party
Correct.
or the party in discussion, party in context, no? Everything.
I think it's so true because when we talk badly about others, it doesn't just drag them down, it also drags ourselves down.
Yeah, absolutely. There's proof of your personality.
Especially for the listener, right? You might
Yes, Miss Cecil. Not yeah.
And one time I was talking to this person, she said, oh, I'm going to sue this person who rented my condo because they got out of the contract early. And the impact it had on me, it was like, wow, you're a person who likes to sue people. Maybe I don't want to be around you.
Yes.
So
you're already declaring a certain part of you.
exactly,
It might be
right?
negative to the listener.
You're exposing your own personality, right? They like to work things out peacefully, right?
So here's a story from Greek myth. Socrates was walking down the streets of Rome one day, and an acquaintance, a friend, runs up to him and says, Socrates, Socrates, I want to tell you something about Demosthenes. And then Socrates says, stop. And the gentleman goes, okay, stop for what? He says, well, do you know if it's the truth? And this guy in front of him says, no, I'm not sure. I just heard it from somewhere. All right, says Socrates, so you do not know if it is the truth, you just heard it from somewhere. Let me ask you another question. And the guy in front of him goes, what's it? He says, will it help you? And he goes, no, I'm not sure if it will help me. I just want to tell you the story. And Socrates goes, okay, wait, let's one more question. Will it help me? And he says, no, Socrates, I thought it might just fill your ears with stuff, you know. And Socrates says, okay. He says, last question. Will it help the person we are discussing? Will it help Demosthenes, my friend? And the guy goes, neither. It's not going to help you, nor me, nor Demosthenes. And I'm not sure if it's the truth. Don't you want to hear it? And of course, you know, the answer is that the guy parts ways and it's end of story. So I think there's a process. And the Rotarians have a good way. Is it the truth? Yeah? Will it create goodwill? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Yeah. It's the thing. And that's what it's a great filter. It's a great filter. That's why you have it on every street corner in Metro Manila. The Rotarians.
It's a good reminder.
Absolutely.
Of course, they also have to walk their talk.
They do. They do. Absolutely.
Most of them.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
That's very interesting, huh?
Yeah. Socrates and the Rotarians.
Because we Filipinos are very, very, how do you call this? Hospitable, even from the stories of every person who comes to us.
Well, that's a story.
We're too polite, right?
That's the story, Marlyn. We Filipinos are a
In
story.
general, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
See, I have to be careful.
Right,
In
there you go. You quote
general,
yourself, yeah?
As to my experience, I have to talk like a lawyer. My experience, generally, among the friends that I know and the people that I know, we are very welcoming. We are good listeners. That's why we don't need psychologists and psychiatrists in this country, because you can just blurt out your story.
We have not cases like us.
Yeah. So now it's so good. That's a good reminder, guys, listening there. If a friend or your relatives or anybody comes to you and start blurting out like this Socrates and his friend.
Socrates and his friend.
Ask this question. Let's say again, is it the truth?
Number one, is it the truth? Number two, will it help you? Will it help me? Will it help the party that we are talking about? And none of them is a yes answer, then there is no need to discuss that. What is the point of that discussion? What is the point in digesting, swallowing something that will not benefit you? Do you put food that won't nourish you in your mouth? Do you put food? I mean, it's right. You know it that if you put a lot of sugar, if you put in a lot of
you know what's gonna happen.
You know it. So if you don't put toxic food, harmful food in your mouth, why are you putting thoughts in your head that are gonna harm your mind? That's a great quote, by the way. Now let me repeat that one more time. If you do not put toxic food in your mouth to enter your belly, why would you put toxic thoughts in your brain to harm your mind?
Because it ends up in your heart.
Yeah, that's good.
Absolutely. Yeah, don't do it. Just
as
leave
they said in Kabbalah, they said 1% perception, only your 5 senses can know, but 99% the ones you don't know. So you see, you only perceive 1%.
Oh, there you go.
99%.
An elephant with 100 sides.
Which is unknown. And the unknown.
Probably does, right?
Yeah.
So if you remember that, that's a good thing too, you know. Your perception might be wrong. That's why the lawyers probably they do good stories. Huh? They tell stories well, or they sometimes change it.
Here's my story. Here's a story that I want to change about myself.
Okay.
I heard this just a week ago from myself. Somebody asked me, Raju, how's business? How is work? Right? And my response was, business is great. It could be better. And the person said, well, Raju, what can make it better? I said, well, a little bit of marketing, a little bit of plugging, a little bit of systemizing my products, etc. But I'm not so greedy, I went. I'm happy with what I have, I'm cool. And then he said, okay, fine, if you're happy, you're happy. Then I walked away. I said, wait, Raju, a minute ago you said it could improve, and then you said you're not greedy. So you are running with a story that if it could improve, then it is greedy. That is a story that is ruling your life. Are you with me? It's a very unconsciously told story to yourself, no? That maybe if I try to earn more money, therefore that makes me greedy. That is my story, and therefore I shall not strive to make more money. I know what it takes to make more money, yeah? But my story I'm telling myself is that if I strive to make more money, I could define myself as greedy, and greedy is not a good thing. But I could live with a nicer sofa, a nicer car, a nicer TV, a little money in my bank, money to take my family out to Rome or Paris or even to Boracay. But at the same time, I'm telling myself, hello, striving more for money is being greedy. And that's the story. Now you need to change that story about money. So anyone who's not successful, or is making less money, or is unhappy with his business growth, you've got to look at the story you're telling yourself. It's called unconscious programming. It's called your meta programs in a certain school of thought. And they rule you, you don't even know how they rule you.
Yeah.
They rule you, no? So I did a workshop 2 days ago, and this is the first thing I mentioned to this group of investors. And I said, first thing, you got to change your mindset about money. You cannot sell tons of stuff unless you change your mindset about money. That means you believe that there's enough of it, and to seek an ample amount from that enough is not to be greedy. They're a humanitarian organization. They're very good people. But again, that can hold them back. So that's one story about money and finance and wealth. Make sense? Business growth.
That's good.
Yes.
That's a good way of putting it that way, right?
Yeah, so I have a response to Ms. Cecil Mercado. I think that the reason I say yes is to claim that I have finished stating my point.
Yeah,
so
it's an affirmation. We say, yeah.
I'm going to say yes from now on, if that's okay, because yeah is a little rude.
That's
yes?
true, though.
Well, in Germany we say ja. Ja means yes.
Yeah, but I think it's a
that
little
was
bit.
the German
So
version.
maybe that's the Aryan version of Raju.
Or the influence
Indians
of our
are
German
part
guy
of the
here.
Aryan tribe.
Yeah.
Aryan.
Yes. Yeah, actually, I also said sometimes yeah.
Yep.
It should be yes.
I always say ja.
All right.
Okie dokie.
Okay.
Sometimes I say yo, sometimes I say
Yo.
ja.
Okay.
Great, so I think we've covered enough.
So in a nutshell, so is there a book you're gonna write about changing stories?
No. So this
no,
book
not
is,
this one, but I mean.
No, so let me show it on the camera. Yeah. Can I show it?
Yes, please.
So this book is all about how stories represent your values, how stories represent your truths, and how to find stories, how to structure them, how to serve them, as in how to deliver stories, how to tell them, and different kinds of stories that will inspire you, stories that will help make you a good leader, stories that will entertain you, stories of organizations, because organizations are also like individuals. So you're an individual and you're a system. That means you have so many representation systems of yourself. A larger organization is almost similar, no? So sometimes there are stories that rule an organization, and that forms their culture. And great organizations change their stories, so they change their culture. Yeah. Thus, they change their success ratio. They change. There are a couple of stories here about how some Filipino companies manage their stories, thus manage their growth. So this is a great book. You can't buy it international. You can only buy it on Amazon, and it is only $7.95.
Not in the Philippines.
What's for the print copy or for the Kindle?
For the print copy.
Wow, that's very
That's
interesting.
not available in the National Bookstore here?
No,
Only in
no.
Amazon.
It's only available at Amazon, but it's $7.95, which is like 8 times 4, about 350 pesos.
So the ones that you have, those are...
I just have a few which I sell on during my workshops and speaking events, but other than that, it's on Amazon. It's pretty fast.
So you also order these on Amazon, or you have them printed locally?
I had some I bought from Amazon, some I had locally printed.
Okay, that's the next book I'm going to read tonight.
It's fun.
Like this book, because you're my guest, I thought we would be talking about changing the story of your life.
It's almost the same. It's almost the same. May I show it to the people?
Yeah.
So it's almost the same. If you don't like your life, change it. So my statement is, change your stories, change your life.
That's true, because your perspective and there's the the listener and the storyteller, right? You can create chaos. You can create also peace. You can also create beauty. So it depends how you tell your stories, right?
And what if you can't change your story?
You always can, right?
What do you think? What if you can't change it?
Well, I think everybody can change the story.
Yes,
maybe we
you
don't
can.
want to, or maybe we don't know yet.
You can always change your stories by humility, of course. Then you say, "Oh, I'm wrong. Let me change it."
If you guys say so.
No, tell me. So tell us.
I thought you're the guru.
I think there are times that you need to change your life. There are times that you need to make physical changes.
True.
Because if your story has become quite close to the objective truth, and it's not disempowering you, but causing you real harm, causing you real physical, mental, emotional harm, and then that means you need to close that book, that story that is occurring outside, then you need to change your life.
Yeah.
The people do. There are massive number of people who change their life, no? But be sure that you're not changing it because it's a fictional story. If it is true, that means as close to the objective truth. Like if somebody's hitting you physically, and you're saying, no, he's a nice guy, he's trying to teach me something, then you're living in the wrong story, you're in the wrong book, change your life.
Yeah.
Right? Does that make sense? If somebody's totally abusive of you and you're trapped in a physical, mental situation, then you need to change your life. Which takes a lot more gumption and
well, sometimes I say that the pain will push you until the vision pulls you.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
The pain in our life
Yeah.
sometimes tells us that the change is necessary.
Yeah. So
right?
if your book is a sad story and you want it happier, change it.
But that's in a rare occasion, because many times, most of the times, it's our crazy stories that rule us. There are times that it is just you can't, it is there. There is a certain reality that is is toxic. Right? Yeah? And don't fool yourself just because you're probably telling yourself a story that is you're making yourself stay in a situation. So figure out the story. That's why, same thing. Open up your story, dissect it, and find out which part of it is not empowering you and making you grow. So if it's a physical reality, if it's an external element or a setup of the story, then you need to change that. But I would not ask you to rush into that, because most of our life is of our making. As I mentioned, when you asked me, that there are times that a comet falls on you or a meteor falls on you, and that might be a universal story, but there are times that sometimes circumstances can occur. Like people who, the guy who wrote the book, what was that book, Viktor Frankl? Man's Search for Meaning, right? Am I right? Man's Search for Meaning. So I'm sure they had to change their stories, and they had to change their lives. People then have to change their lives. And I think lots of people need to sometimes change their lives.
Yeah, and I think most of the time there are stages in our lives we have to change anyway, because life is progressive. You cannot have that story since you were 7 years old and just behaving and telling that story of your life the same. It changes when you're in high school, it changes when you're in college, that story changes when you have your first job, changes when you get married, when you have children, and as you grow older, it depends on the people you're with.
Yeah.
So it depends again, when you tell a story or make the story of your life, you must have a goal, right? Will it make you happier? Will it make the people around you happier?
A very simple example of changing your life would be, say you're smoking. And you go ahead and say, smoking makes me feel good. Right? Now that's the time you need to stop smoking, because
That's addiction.
that's where you need to change your life. Right? And you overeat. And you're saying, because I need it. My physical structure is such. But part of you is telling you, so now you need to do the physical aspect of it. It's hand in hand. Now your story and your life are not different, but sometimes you need to take physical action to change what you are living in, what you're surrounded by. So I think that's the end of it, unless you have a question, Mr. Mike.
Yes, and okay, thank you. We already, it's 1:30. Wow, that
Yes,
flies.
time flew, huh?
Alright.
Well,
Thank you.
my apologies for being late again.
It's okay.
I couldn't find my car keys.
Yeah, we'll
And
spank
that's
you
the story. Sorry?
We'll spank you later.
I couldn't find my car keys.
And
Oh,
thank
that's
you,
what we
Raju, Bjorn.
Salamat.
Salamat. Thank you, Philippines.
Bye.
And tune in again next week and stay in that channel, wherever you are, or stay
Hasta
in the
luego.
DZRJ 810 AM on your dial, because equal justice is coming back.
Whoa.
Bye.
Bye.